Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dimes of Dara on the Joy Podcast, brought to you by IrishSportsDaily.com. I am Ge Wang. That is Dara Mabrey, and we're going to talk Notre Dame women's basketball, crushing it right now, stunting on the entire ACC as we speak. Notre Dame is on a 14-game winning streak. They are undefeated in ACC play, 10-0, and they are rolling. Hannah Hidalgo is racking up the accolades. She just got named ACC Player of the Week for the fourth week this season. And so they're ranked number 3 in the country, and they are rolling on and hope towards the ACC tournament, towards the NCAA tournament, where they hope to get a number 1 seed. So we're going to talk about all those things. We're going to talk about how they're playing, what we've seen. And, look, sometimes it's just not a lot of bad to talk about, but we can break it down. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, please hit the like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. So whenever it is, we are releasing a show. And as always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. You've seen ESQ and all your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches. With over a decade of making the best custom clothing available, ESQ will help you look and feel your best in 2025. From a perfect fitting suit or sport coat, shirt or bomber jacket, or the perfect tuxedo for wedding season, check out Ge's making amazing work at esqclothing.com. Book an appointment to upgrade your wardrobe today. Mention Irish Sports Daily and get 10% off your entire purchase. Dara, how are you doing? You just got back from Miami. You were in the United States. You were living the life in Miami. You're just having the greatest time. Seeing your friend Nat Marshall over with the Miami Hurricanes, going to her games. You're cooking with your sister Marina on the TikTok. How's life? How are you doing? You're back. How was your time over in the States?
Yeah. My time over in the States was so nice. It was relaxing. It was a really nice break, mentally and physically. And then just like being surrounded by all my people was great. I got to see my mom. She flew down. Obviously, I was with Marina. I got to see my best friend hit a game winner right in front of my face. I sat courtside for her game. And when she shot it, like, I just knew it was going in. I was like,
did you rush the court?
Scenario. At the end of the game, I did run on the court after they escorted me out there because they knew, my sister Michaela coached at Miami early on in her career, and we have all of our people there. Like, that's family to us too. So seeing her there, just surrounded by great people being taken care of, is everything that I wanted it to be for her and her transfer process. But I woke up every day. I got the best iced coffee ever. I sat at the pool. I went to the beach. I rode a jet ski. I worked out, kept my cardio up. I got very tan. And it was very nice because now I'm back on Hungarian soil. I am ready for this stretch that's coming up. It's a very important stretch for my team and I. And, trying to make the playoffs. We have great games coming up, and I'm just, refreshed after the break, and I'm really ready to get back to work and get after it. So I'm just doing great.
As Riley Leonard would say, Jesus bless about all those things. So many good things happening for you. What was it like seeing Nat play? It's been you haven't seen her in a bit, obviously. You've been out in Europe and you haven't really been around anyone. How is it to see her play and all those things?
Right. Nat's been my best friend way longer than when we were roommates at Notre Dame. I think this is year 12 of being best friends, and not a lot of people know that. We joked in Miami and people ask us like, "Oh, do you still talk to Nat?" And we're like, "Or do you still talk to Dara?" And it's almost like we like take offense to it, So seeing her, like I know I was with her through the whole transfer process. Obviously she loved Notre Dame. She got everything she wanted out of Notre Dame, and she was ready to be in Miami and thrive. She is living her best life, and I'm just really happy for her. Like, as her best friend, seeing her happy, seeing her banging threes. She plays a much bigger role now at Miami, and she's happy, so I'm happy. And Miami has opened up so many things for her, looking further into her career and her life. So just being with her was refreshing, relaxing. We were out and about sometimes, and then we were just like scrolling on TikTok, laying in bed, just like the good old days when we were roommates at Notre Dame. So being with her was just, I couldn't wait. It's like I got there, I spent one day with her, and I left and was like borderline crying in the Uber. I'm like, when can I go back? You go from seeing each other nearly every single day, from 2020 to 2024, and now I, have to say, when can I see you next? So it's definitely an adjustment, but we were just so happy that we got time together. It's really my girl.
Yeah, averaging about 23 minutes a game. We've got 7 points, 5 rebounds. Key player for them. She's got 16 starts out of 22 games, 19 games total. So missed a couple games there, but I mean, obviously, as we've seen with Notre Dame, like the front court is pretty jammed up. So good for her to go on to Miami and play a key role for their basketball team. And like you said, she hit the game winner. That's awesome to see. All right, so that's good stuff. You're also I mentioned you were in Miami with your sister Marina. She's become quite well known for her food videos on the TikToks. We discussed before the show. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know anything about this. I know they exist, but I don't know. I don't know the content of it. Where did this come from? Where is she like a cook? Is this normal for her? And I know that I'm pretty sure you were involved in a video as well.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What did you make? Was it good? Was it good?
Well, like it was the first one that we cut into was pink. Like it was a little cook because like deep frying is pretty hard, especially for your first time. Like
what did you make?
We made chicken tenders.
Okay. All right.
But it was like some serious chicken tenders. Like she bought like potato starch and corn starch and like all that stuff. Like, it was a good chicken tender. But the first one we cut into, like I think it's because no, like it was raw. Like if I were to eat it, like I would be, you could picture what would be happening to me. But I think she made like one cooking video and it got like really good engagement. And then she was like, oh yeah, like her fans love it. Like her fans are like, when are you making another video? They're so tuned in. They are dialed in on this cooking with Mabrey thing. And then, her teammates are trying to get her to dance and like loosen up a little bit. Like, I don't know if you saw those. She's a bit of a stiff dancer, but I mean, she's live on TikTok. You guys should go watch the Cooking with Mabrey episode. We did break a light like with the iPad. And I nearly like burned down the entire apartment, but it was a success because the chicken tenders in the end were really, really good.
Cool. Did you what was the secret? What was this? Why was like they were undercooked at first?
Yeah.
And you got what was the secret there? How did you finally get that figured out?
I think when you're deep frying something and you see like it's like a very aggressive cooking approach, so we were so afraid to burn it or overcook it.
Yeah.
And really like that was the problem, was that we didn't leave it in there for long enough, and then we ended up doing I thought the tenders were too big, like in my personal opinion. If I could remake them, I would make them thin. My favorite chicken tenders are from Cane's, but and Roscoe's actually. LA. Those were some really good chicken tenders that I had with the chicken and waffles. Oof, really good.
So Raising Cane's, that's big out here. I mean, out here there's so many. Like now there's Raising Cane's. There's Popeyes.
Mm-hmm.
There's Roscoe's. I mean, I'm just going through the Rolodex here. Chick-fil-A, obviously.
Chick-fil-A is good. Well.
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A is good, but the thighs from Popeyes are better than the tenders.
Have you ever had Dave's Hot Chicken? Is that a thing?
They have one in South Bend, believe it or not. When's the last time you went to South Bend? It was for a football game, right?
It was for a football game, but I never eat.
You didn't see it? It's looking like you go there when you've had like 6 or 7 cocktails, not just because not just like on the top of your list for chicken. Yeah, no.
Okay. All right, well, good. That's great. I'm glad. I love it when I see you with your sisters, mostly because, especially now, because I know that I know that, you're away from them all the time.
I know. Yeah.
So
we got some time on the court together too, which was so cool.
That's
I was
brilliant.
like starstruck. Like we got to work out with one of her trainers, which was so cool. In 2 days, I learned so much, and I brought all of it back to Hungary with me. It's in my warm up, it's in my pre-practice, and it was so cool what they did down there with Unrivaled and what they're doing for the women. It's amazing to see.
That's great. I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't see that. Well, good. What did you bring back? What's can you share?
Just some shooting techniques. Like I realized, like in college, I was very, I don't want to change anything about my shot,
Yeah.
And like when you come over here and you play pro, like it's completely different. Like you are consistently making minor tweaks, like maybe it's in your form, maybe it's in your footwork, maybe it's in your running technique. It could be anything, but you're constantly finding these like very minor changes that go a long way. Like he taught me something like with my hand placement that when I fixed it, I was like swishing everything. And I was like, wow, like these little small changes when you become a pro, like your career is long, and it's your job now. So it's not like it's in college and I don't want to touch my form. Like I'm not like that anymore. It changed. I realized I'm like, I can make all these great changes to my footwork and you just practice them on your own all the time. And then in the game, you don't subconsciously think like, okay, now let me do it. No, like it comes naturally. It's going to take a really long time for it to like fully develop and me to not think twice about it. But like, I was just amazed when I went home. I was like, I learned so much there, so much. So it was just so cool. I was so happy that I was able to go and work out with her.
What a wonderful opportunity that is. And your sister is like thriving as well. And obviously Michaela's thriving.
Killing it.
Women's basketball team.
Yeah,
like we said,
19.
Speaking of the topic of this show, 19-2, 14-game winning streak. They're amazing. They're just amazing. They're just a very good basketball team. They obviously you have the star power in Hannah and Olivia Miles, and you could even include like I think Liatu in that as well. Not in terms of like flash, but just like her effectiveness on a night-to-night basis on the little things. It's kind of like it's almost to the point now where you just speak of her as part of the three instead of being like, who's like quietly important is Liatu King. It's like, yeah, like we kind of said that at the beginning of the year, and now it's just like she's consistently very good for Notre Dame. Hannah's playing at she's playing at a
different level.
She's playing at a player of the year level right now.
100% agreed. Yeah.
She's averaging. Let me just put it up here. She's 30 points in the last 2 games. Like I said, she was ACC player of the week last week. She's averaging 26 points, 6 rebounds. Where's the assist numbers? We don't have average per game assists. That's terrible. But she had 26 points, 6 rebounds. She's shooting 43% from 3-point line, 50% from the field.
Impressive.
Yeah,
it is so impressive because she has a lot of attempts. Like, does it say how many attempts per game
she has? She has 106.
Okay.
So I don't know what that is per game, but like she's 106, lives at 105. That's another one. Like I mean, I don't know what's more surprising to me. The fact that Hannah is a shooting guard like that, and she's shooting better than 50% of the field, or Liv shooting 42% from the 3-point. Like still, like now we're 21 games into the season, right? Like she started out hot. I mean, I think she was at 47% at one point, and obviously that was always going to come down. But it's like she's at 42%. Like she was 21% as a freshman. Like she was a bad shooter. And now it's like you're shooting 42%. That's one of the best in NCAA. Like that's
totally.
That's what's surprising to me. But continue on Hannah and just kind of what you've seen from her.
I mean, she's a generational talent. I was talking with one of the ACC announcers the other day, and it's almost hard to describe her because she just does something that nobody else does. She's very hard, like to compare her to somebody. and it's on both ends of the floor. And what's really impressive about her is that she's still young and she just consistently shows up. Like it takes a different like mental maturity to always show up. And you can have a bad game. Like I, off the top of my head, I don't know like what game that she struggled in or whatnot, but her numbers will never show her struggles because the effort that she plays with is just at a different level, like we were saying. I think she is and will be still at the end of the year, by far, player of the year. I think she's shown nearly everything. And it's just going to, every time there's a big stage, she's there. She steps up. She lives for the big moments. She doesn't feel pressure. She's so confident in herself. She trusts in her work. And she's just so impressive and such a great girl on and off the court. So it's nice to see.
She's just like, I mean, she's always had it. She's always just been a force of will. And she lets you know right away, like it's going to be like this for the entire game. I'm going to just be a fireball of competitive energy, and I'm just going to come at you. I'm going to come at you, and I am not letting up for 1 second. Like she never does. And the gravity that she plays with, that is even, more than last year. And I continue to say, like, it wasn't just that she got better as a basketball player, which she absolutely did, but she got stronger. She is a stronger basketball player, and she is a more fit basketball player than she was last year. And she was, it's not like she wasn't any of those things last year, but she just put that work in as well.
Right.
It's just such a problem. Like she is inevitable. She's completely inevitable in how she plays in everything that she's doing. And I think, we talked a bunch last year about how the jumper escaped her. It got away from her, and she's shooting 50% from the field.
And she's better with contact. Like there was a ton of times last year where she would get downhill and she would throw her body into people, or maybe the bigs would come over and it would get blocked sometimes. Like that's happened a lot less than it had since last year. Mm-hmm. And she worked on that in the off season, which is, it's just great to see it come to life. And Olivia too. Olivia spent a ton of time like during her rehab and her coming back shooting threes. I saw her and my sister would be in there all the time, just shooting threes, just shooting it and fixing her form. And now, like, I mean, the two of them are unbelievable. It's fun to watch them. I don't care who they're playing. If they're winning by 20, if, it's tie score, they're always doing something out there that is spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, Liv, 53% from the field.
Unbelievable. She takes good ones too. Like I love almost all of her attempts at the three. When she comes off the ball screen, she's confident. When she comes back into her step back after taking, a couple dribble moves, that double step back, she really likes that one. And she takes her time now. Like when she gets driving kicks, because you credit Hannah too and Sonia and the guards, they get downhill, they cause rotation, and they're really good at driving kicking it out. And she's there, she's taking her time. And I think, that attests to that number being at 42% or 43, whatever you said. 42.
43%. Yeah.
43. Yeah. Even better.
I think that is one thing that, I think was completely just unpredictable. You couldn't predict that she specifically would be as good of an offensive scorer. Cause I think, she was a scorer in, when she was a freshman, but it was like kind of the driving to the basket, getting to the basket and that sort of thing. Right. And then it was the assists and the playmaking, the shooting. I don't think anyone could have seen that coming. And the fact that it is now been over half the season where it's been this way, it's just like it could fall off. It could fall off for any player at any point. There's no reason to think that it's going to, and it just makes them so dangerous. Those two together, it's just such a problem for teams that they're both shooting as efficiently as they are, and that doesn't even get into Sony. Like Sony's shooting 44%. She's shooting 35% from three. The thing is like she gets lost in some games, but then she'll hit, like this last game, she just hit like this huge shot right as the third quarter ended. Like she hits this like very difficult shot, and it's like all she's getting is open looks,
right?
Because of the other two. Maddy is the same way, and I want to get into Maddy and Liza and get your kind of your opinion on how they're progressing coming off their injuries and everything. It just like, and then you get the complimentary pieces like Cass and like
who was great against Louisville. Great.
We'll talk about that. Go deeper into that.
She's just so important because you know that you have your prominent offensive pieces, and she is a very downhill player, but I think that she's grown a lot in her role. Whereas when the last time she was on the court, it wasn't last year because she was out.
Yeah.
But before that, she was really young. She enrolled early at the top level. And I think like she looks more mature when she's playing. And she comes in and she plays as hard as she can. She wants to guard the best player every single time. She cuts really hard to the basket, and she's just such a great additional piece in her role because a team like this with a bunch of superstars needs that. And she's improved her three-point shot. She confidently shoots the three and hits it, which is even better because, a lot of times role players don't hit threes on a team, full of superstars that are already doing that, which makes Notre Dame that much better. So like Cass is just great because I think that you always know what you're going to get out of her. Proud of her actually against Louisville. That was great to see her come in and do that, especially like when they were struggling. They were turning the ball over left and right, and she just came in. She brought her little spark like she always does, and she's great. So
as a team, Notre Dame's shooting 50% from the field, which is fourth in the nation. They're second in the nation in 3-point percentage. They're sixth in scoring at 87 points a game. They're giving up 62 a game. It's pretty much they're winning games by 24, 25 points. It's just they're such a force. I do want to talk about Maddy and Liza though, as they've kind of inserted themselves into this lineup, and I think we've seen a little bit more from Maddy because she came back. She's playing more minutes. But what have you seen from those two as they kind of progress into trying to catch up into getting into midseason form? Because it's not really midseason form for them, right? Maddy's played at this point. She's played 8 games. Liza's played 12 games. So they're just they're just kind of catching up. What have you seen from them over the past few games here?
I would like to start off by saying that it's very hard coming back, especially coming back during the season, with the way that this team is moving. That's
kind of really established roles.
Yeah. And I know establishing roles, but even I know personally coming back, the adjustment that your body goes through from being out with an injury and then playing live and getting hit and falling down and getting up and then having to practice the next day is a really hard thing to do. Like I would imagine the two of them went through some body soreness, definitely a lot of adjusting. And it's impressive because they're performing very well for their circumstances. I think we'll just continually see Maddy start to get better. I mean, just knowing her and playing with her for a while, I don't think that she looks like herself yet, which is normal. I mean, she just came back, from a foot injury. And then I think Liza, I'm a really big fan of Liza. I think she brings leadership. She brings experience. She's smart. Her IQ is good. And she just is always in the right position, doing the right thing. She's getting rebounds. She's relocating when the guards drive. She's coming over and help. And she's a great addition. So to see them, in the same position, coming back from injury, adjusting, I think we'll continually see them get better and more comfortable, especially Maddy. But they're very important. Like we can talk about Liv and Hannah and Tonya as much as we want, but that's still Maddy Westbeld, and I don't want her to get lost in the sauce as she comes back, because I think that she's really important and her voice is really important on that team. Like she is definitely one of the leaders of that team.
And we know she's a big time player, right? We know she's ready to go in the big moments. I mean, she's shooting the ball well, 55% from the field, 40% from three. And that's, that's not a super small sample size, right? She's taken 53 shots, 23. So, if she can keep that up, that's a real weapon for Notre Dame. She's only playing about 22 minutes a night. Right now, 9 and 4.
I would imagine that increases.
Oh, for sure.
I would think, yeah.
Do you like her? Do you like that 5? Do you like her playing next to Liatu
Yes.
King? Okay, tell me how that kind of fits.
I mean, when I was playing, I would love when Maddy would be the 5. I loved her anywhere, but when Maddy was the 5, it opens everything up, and it's like a tough mismatch usually for the opponent. She can guard 5, but normally their 5 cannot guard her on the perimeter. And I think that she shows so much still at the 5. Like, she can hit the 3, she can hit the pull up, she can come off the curl, hit a shot and take it to the rim, and then go back down and guard, which is really, really valuable. Because we have an interchangeable offense. Like, our offense is so versatile, and that's why she can play the 4 or the 5, Liatu, Liza, vice versa. It makes it that much harder to guard. And, for people that are watching our podcast, and they might not know that, but our offense is designed so different players can be versatile in multiple positions, and it just works perfectly.
Go deeper in that.
So, like, we run an offense where it usually starts with an elbow entry. The guard is at the top of the key. She enters it into Maddy. Now there's action on the other side. So because Maddy can hit the free throw jumper, that post player that's guarding her cannot just sit in the paint. She has to come out. And then that leaves room for maybe Sonia can go post up, and then Liv and Hannah can get downhill. And that 5 has to stay out when Maddy's out there. I think if Liatu is at the 5 or Liza's at the 5, maybe you let them hit one jumper and then you move out a little bit, but still, like, they can kind of dare them to make a couple of them before they have to move out, if that makes sense. So Maddy being the 5 with her shooting ability, it makes the defense go like this even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she can also play make too. That's the other thing about Maddy. Yeah. She can play make. She can put the ball. She can work off the bounce. She can pull up.
She can pass too.
Yeah. So that's what kind of unlocks, like, kind of everything, right? Even and this is I say something like unlocks everything, like having Hannah Hidalgo on your team. That's the other part of this, where it's like you have all these things, but you also have Hannah Hidalgo on your team, who is the player of the year in the sport, right? Like, and so that's why, like, you don't want to get too over the top with this, because I don't know. I guess you just don't, right? Like, the teams aren't perfect, but they just have on paper, and the way that they've been playing, that's the other part. It's like they're just wrecking teams. Like, they're just, even when they don't play well early, they just eventually, there's just too much. They have too much. They have too many weapons. They have too much pace. Defensively, they have too much there. They just continue to just lean on a team that I don't think teams, they very much struggle. And even these teams that are like mid-ranked, right? Like 17th ranked or 15th ranked, like, they just struggle with the quality of play that you have to be at for as long as you do against them
to even stay in the game.
Yes. I mean, we saw this with USC. When I went to USC game, like, it was that kind of thing where it was like USC had to play so well just to get within like single digits.
Right.
And then Notre Dame, or to get within 3 or 4 points after trailing by like 10. And they were playing so well. And then Notre Dame opens the fourth quarter and they just blow them away. Next thing you know, they're up by 21. And it's like,
exactly.
It was like 5 minutes ago we were in 3 and now we're down 21. The game's over.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that makes it very difficult for them.
Right.
But let's give some space to, like, I want you, like, you want to they need to tighten this up?
Turnovers.
Okay, speak to turnovers, because that's been my thing. Again, watching the USC game, and not just I've seen a lot of games, but being there in person is just a little bit different, where you get a sense for man, they're just a little bit. Careless isn't the word. They're just so free flowing. It's you got to value the ball a little bit better.
Right.
We've talked about this before, but continue to.
And that's exactly what you said. You hit it on the head. When you give a team like that, such a strong offensive team like that, freedom to push the ball, to have a pretty wide shot selection. Did you see that? Oh, you missed it.
I did. No, I saw that. Oh, yeah, I saw
that. Shot selection, pushing pace, inevitably is going to come with turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean, guilty. I used to turn it over sometimes when I was out there too. It's just what happens when you're consistently being aggressive. And that's something, obviously, that Coach McGraw and Neo, and please, I've known them since I was younger, and that's just always what
you can call it. You can say Neo. It's fine. You can say
relax.
Neo.
It's just what it is. That's something that they've had to live with. And it's just what happens when you're playing at that pace and you're trying to score aggressively every single time, because transition is their bread and butter. However, sometimes they need to have better awareness of when to stay aggressive but be smart. And I think that some of it comes with the games that they've had high turnovers. They were very physical with the guards, and just playing against Louisville forever, and knowing Coach Waltz, he encourages their guards to be physical on both ends of the floor. And I think that it usually happens when we get sped up and then we rush passes, because we're trying to get into the post a lot too. That gets deflected. They're traveling. They traveled a lot against Louisville. I don't know what that was. And it's just kind of slow down. And I think Olivia's growth as she, continues in her career, I would put that responsibility on her, in a sense of literally taking the game into your own hands as the point guard and controlling it, which she's obviously gotten better and better at every year. But if I had to give that job to somebody, it would be her, because she's just so trustworthy in that role.
Yeah.
And I think that she's the one that can do that. But that's not, I'm not saying she is the one turning the ball over, because it's everybody. And she's obviously the best with the ball in her hands and what she's doing with it. But I turnovers, yeah. Oof. It was bad the other night.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of the football team a little bit, in the sense that you knew they were good, and you knew if they were ever going to lose, the exact reason it would be is because the football team, they had stretches where throughout the year, it was they go 3 and out way too often. And they would have clumps of drives where it's 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And that was always coincided with the defense getting stopped. So you never lost the lead. But in the title game, right, they went 3 and out, 3 and out. That coincided with the defense giving up points. The game got away from them. Too far away to get back. For the women, you just know that if they are going to lose a game, and I'm talking in tournament play, I'm talking about NCAA tournament. I think basketball is a little different than football, in the sense that you could lose a random game for reasons that are just you play 40 of them. You're going to, sometimes you just lose sometimes. But in a game that matters, in a game that they're really concentrated on, the reason that they will lose, if they do, is going to be because they turned the ball over 20 times.
Right.
And the other team didn't really.
And that's why Louisville was in the game.
Right.
The whole time. Right. We were just turning it over left and right. And it's oof. Take a deep breath.
Yeah. And they go on a run, and it's oh God, now you're down 10 or whatever it is. And it's just that, and that's this team. I don't think that's ever going away either, unfortunately. You just hope it doesn't. You just hope it doesn't rear the ugly head at the wrong time. That's basically what it is.
Agreed.
Look, as we say that, they are a great basketball team. They are so much fun to watch. There are so many fun aspects to this team. Like I was talking to Jamie and I recorded our show today. We got off the thing.
Mhm.
He was like, "Hey, the women's basketball team, they're so great. Like they're so fun." And I'm like, "Yeah, they're awesome. Like it's
Amazing.
It's great
Yeah.
it's great to watch them, and it's also great to see like all of the things that you thought were possible come to fruition."
Right.
So listen, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. It's not tournament time yet. It's just regular season time, and let's just take in the regular season. We'll get into the ACC tournament, get into the NCAA tournament when that comes up. So that's exciting, though, and I think it's a good place to end the show. Dara, thank you as always for making time for this.
Thank you, and we apologize for the delay.
When is your next game?
I play the 15th, I think. Yeah,
the 15th. All right,
next Saturday.
We've got to ramp up. That's exciting.
Very.
Dara's getting ready to get buckets. She's got new balls placement on her hand. She's getting buckets. She's cooking food. Putting it on the TikToks.
I'm just living the life over here.
Just tan. She brought her Miami skin to the
I did. I walked in the gym and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, who is that?" I'm like, "Yeah, guys,
that's me. That's me talking about Miami." All right, we'll get out of here. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. What are we gonna do, Dara? In the meantime,
get buckets.